All right, people. I am so a little pissed. I had some water. I don't know. I left it downstairs. Too bad. Too bad. Let's mute that episode. Here we go. Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait to drop some of that Matrix knowledge on all of you. Here we go. We are live. What is up, my AKA Patters? Peter Anthony DeLuca here. The eclectic one, the pop culture pope, spicy taco, roast beef sandwich, your residential favorite comic book artist. Now, if you don't know me, I should be your favorite comic book artist. I should be your tip-top creator. But here we go. We're talking The Matrix. I kind of want to do... Should we just keep this as green, so we're inside the Matrix? Like, how well can we see this? Let's keep it green. We're going to keep this green. Now, real quick though, let me drop a link in here, because we just dropped a new video too. We just dropped a new YouTube video where I explain the Matrix. And it literally uploaded like nine seconds ago. So let me get that link. We'll drop that sweet link into the chat. Let's see here. What are we doing? Here we go. Let's get shareable link copied right here. I will throw this into the chat. Let me just type that. Here we go, drop it in. I can't believe last time we had such a good crowd. I apologize for anyone that was trying to drop links into the chat. Apparently only admins can do that. So what are we really talking about here? Everyone, I'm just listening and watching everyone go over and over the Matrix. They're missing major details about what happened in Resurrections. They're missing some of the plot holes, the inconsistencies, the overall, like, a lot of the stuff that they overall just ignored. Okay, but we're going to go back in time. We're going to go back where there's only one Matrix movie, and our minds are blown when we learn that it's going to be a trilogy. They're going to shoot two of them back to back, and this is all planned out. Now, this is a part of the trilogy rhetoric that went into the Nolan Dark Knight trilogy, Pirates of the Caribbean. It's still being repeated today. And the time that the Matrix came out, keep in mind, we had Equilibrium, we had Dark City, we had Blade, we had The Crow. Okay, so when a lot of people say that The Matrix was the right movie at the right time, they're literally out of their minds. They're wrong. The Matrix was a part of a Hollywood push for a certain type of anti-hero. Okay, black leather anti-hero. Blade and Neo are nearly the same effing character. They are. Come at me, bro. So what do we have here? Matrix Volume 2. In my video, I referenced this Tim Sale Houdini story. So we're going to get into a little bit more detail with this. But, so essentially, we don't have all the details. We don't have all the big ideas that the Matrix Reloaded, Matrix Revolutions tell us. Okay? We don't have the exact definition of what's happening inside the Matrix. During all of this content, Neo is the one, later to be revealed not to be the one. Morpheus is the giant visionary general. He's not a loon as he's portrayed in Reloaded. So a lot of Reloaded, the first 15 minutes of Reloaded, literally subverts all of our expectations. But the Wachowski brothers, through Burley Main Entertainment, that was their company, they did two volumes of this, roughly 400 pages. It's maybe comics greatest anthology of all time. They had the best of the best work on this, and they just, even with as little that people knew about the Matrix and little that they were able to be told, people found veins to explore the idea of freedom, breaking free, becoming an individual, knowing something is wrong, pushing yourself, okay, pushing these barriers. That's really what the appeal of the Matrix was between the two movies. And we had this, we had the Animatrix. There was a movie called Dreamcatcher that did this in between movie, The Final Flight of Osiris, that was done by the Final Fantasy guys. It's just amazing. Okay, you want to go see Dreamcatcher just to watch Final Flight of Osiris. I recommend watching The Matrix, then you watch the Animatrix, because you get that amazing prologue sequence about the history of the machine war, and then watch the next two. So it's going to take some time. And then look, the artist that we're going to be highlighting is Stephen Scorsese. So through Burly Man Entertainment, if you guys watch Cartoonist K-Fab, they highlighted Bulletproof Monk. The real masterpiece of Burly Man is Doc Frankenstein. Doc Frankenstein was ready to go as a major franchise. We are going to detail this. This is one of the very best takes of Dr. Frankenstein, next to the Dean Koontz novel series, the Prometheus novel series, which was, I believe, 5 books, potentially 2 movies. One of them was made for USA. So we're going to do all 6 issues of that. But here we go. And I already indicated a little bit of where to go. And we're not going to go through every single page of this. I just want to get it going now because I'm so excited. I've read about 150 pages of this today. So the Wachowskis and Stephen Scorsese. Stephen Scorsese, for his comic book work, it's Wolverine, Amazing Spider-Man, the Rob Liefeld, Alan Moore, Youngblood. He did one of the best Wolverine stories of all time. Great run on Spider-Man. He does those like Frank Miller animatic panels, which you'll see here, where people are just like flipping through the frames. He did a lot with Daredevil. But this guy, okay, he did some X work. I think he did Cable. But this is his seminal work, and this bled into higher-ended comic book work. The way how the Wachowskis and Stephen Scorsese approached these storyboards, they were making comic book pages. They essentially made, of all the major action sequences, they made a giant graphic novel just to not only sell the project, but once they got greenlit, once they knew their budget, everything here became the Bible of the entire production crew. They had 350 people working under them, and the storyboards literally became the Bible of the movie. We will see shots echoed. It's unbelievable, okay, how close some of these shots are. The closest comparison to this would be the Robert Rodriguez, Frank Miller, Sin City, okay? Closest comparison when it comes to panel and shots. So we have our opening sequence where the police come after Trinity, again, right from the movie. They try and cuff Trinity. Trinity ricochets off the wall. High jump kicks this dude in the nutsies. Kicks these 2 boys together. We're flipping guns. Here's the one thing I effing love here. I love it's like the flash of the gun, okay, creates a little bit of a shadow in back of the cop, and I just love the motion for this. There's so much action. Really nice. But then here we go. We have, look, nice half page here. And he goes into detail. He goes into detail everything that they changed per shot. But we get Trinity. So she's running here. We all know the scene. Dude, can't you hear the music? The da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And here she jumps on the L train. Okay? The L train sequence was cut because originally the film was going to be shot in Chicago. They had to move it to Sydney. Australia was a hotspot because it was a tax haven for movies. Sort of the fall of making movies in LA it came out of the 90s. And here, look, we have technical direction for how the camera is going to move around Trinity. Trinity jumps right through this window. Look at that amazing illustration there. She jumps right through this tiny window, which we kind of saw it, like a little bit of that in the new movie. She falls down the flight of stairs. She runs into a phone booth right before the dump truck hits her. Okay, we get this right. I mean, like right from the movie, right? She puts her hand up against the glass. She gets steamrolled by a dump truck, and then we kind of bleed into the idea that she is through the phone. And then we have the interrogation sequence. So some of this too. See, we'll see here that Neo has long hair. If there's inconsistencies from like panel to panel, Neo's long hair is from an earlier time he worked on those storyboards, and they will go back and fill things in. And then like they had to wait for Jeff Darrow to come in with the design of the insect that crawls into his belly button. But I love it here. I just love that they're like, look, whoever we get to play this part is going to have to be jacked. So there's about 600 of these panels. As far as I know, no, this is one of the guys that worked on Armageddon and Batman and Robin. As far as I know, so this guy here, I forget his name real quick. Tina Kanikia. He worked on volume, alcohol markers, colored pencils, whiteout. Okay, but essentially his style is his artwork is on tracing paper, thick tracing paper. But we're focusing on Stephen Scrocci, and then we have probably one of the best choreographed fight sequences. So Stephen Scrocci also came in at the end of the unplugging sequence, the infant sequence, and look, he did this red with red Sharpie. Isn't that amazing? It's just red Sharpie, and look how nice it is. Amazing. So this is one of the best choreographed fights I think ever. Just the way it's shot, the slow motion. So essentially, what happened was like, what's his name? Ko Ping from Wu Ping. Okay, Wu Ping was the guy, the greatest choreographer maybe ever. He comes in, he looks at basically the flow of the fight, and he keeps the flow of the fight, but he rotates the camera, he goes underneath, he goes over the top, he switches angles, but a lot. So Scrocci here makes commentary on like why they kept things, how they kept things, what was consistent. But this is just like this animatic here. I don't like animatics when it comes to comics, but some of this is just you can tell how pressed he was, and he says in this volume that it was hard to get some of the Jeff Darrow designs for like the Sentries and the Machine City, because he was literally like drawing by the hour. Like that's how quick he was drawing. Like they had the time worked out. But this is great. Like the Morpheus's knee here. And look, like we all know the shot. This is like the slow motion jump up crane shot. But this is fucking spectacular. There is no spoon. So we all know this sequence. Probably the biggest sequence in all the Matrix movies. And then Scrocci here, he describes how much work that they did so they would understand how the spoon would be represented, what the actual reflection was, and they were paranoid that once it was upside down, the audience would understand why it was upside down. But he goes, it was accurate here, it's accurate in the movie. And then we have the Lafayette, they call this the water wall scene. So a lot of this shifts and changes because the movie wasn't cast yet and the location wasn't scouted. So this was a lot of back and forth later in here. I mean, like, look at this. This is just awesome. Later in here, and look, the Frank Miller slates in the wall. I mean, Miller was just everyone's influence at this point. But later, we'll get some cut sequences, and then there's a lot of shots and angles from this. I mean, look at them, like, sliding through the wall. Like, that is so freaking great. So Steven Scrossi is a next level illustrator. Look at, I mean, this right now is better quality than just about most Marvel comics and most DC comics. And he essentially is drawing a giant graphic novel just so these guys can make a movie. I think they flew him out to LA in 3 sessions. So, and then we have the elevator lobby scene that we all know. This is where we get the McFarlane action figures from, but nothing but hotness, and you can kind of see there. So Scrossi says their verbal direction were equal. Like both of the Wachowskis, they picked up where the other one left off. One would leave the room, the other one would come into the room. They would like finish each other's sentences. So the conversations amongst themselves and the fantasizing amongst themselves must have been epic. But you can kind of tell that some of this that they're dictating, like you can kind of see them, and they're like, "Look, we need more gun shells here. We need more debris here. We need them busting through the wall here." Like you kind of see, like, look at this animatic. This is insane. Just really fun, amazing stuff. His guns piss me off. It really makes me want to crank it up for Uzi Susie. But this sequence, I mean, I saw this movie 6 or 7 times in the theater just for this sequence. And we have that gag where we're just looking at the lobby and the one slate falls off the wall and the elevator closes. I mean, you literally hear so much of this movie while we're just flipping through this. And then we have they blow up the elevator, which is that slow motion with the fire rolling out the elevator with the elevator door kind of like bouncing around the fire. And then we have dodge this. Now we're on top of the building. We're inside the helicopter. We're fighting the soldiers. Like really cool stuff here. I mean, this is just like the instincts for him to back away and just pop in that negative space. And here we go. So later we see a lot of work trying to figure out exactly what the bullet time looked like what they were trying to achieve. No one that I've listened to that was talking about the new Matrix movie, they forget how innovative bullet time was. And it wasn't who was it? It was that John Travolta movie that the Simon Says Swordfish. Swordfish did bullet time better than bullet time, and it came out like a year later. Same producer too. Joel Silver, same producer. But here we go. Look, his machinery is there, and I love when artists they hide, but they can't draw. Like exactly how are we holding this? It doesn't matter. We can position him there. And Scrossi has what I call like long faces. It's his faces are so freaking unique to me. But yeah, I mean, we have these angles from the movie, and that's how this is it's infinitely fascinating. And you got to keep in mind too. So this is before the age that whiteout pens became as good as they are. A lot of this black with the white stroke, he's filling that in with Sharpie like quickly on his own. And here we go. We got Morpheus jumping out, Neo clashing with him. But look at that hand by Neo. So freaking nice. And then here we go. We these are essentially just splash pages. So one of their directives was no arrows, because a lot of storyboards use arrows to show action and stuff. They wanted no arrows. They wanted to sell the action as big and accurately as possible. But see, like this is where it's just insane, where he tries to hold up the hold up Trinity while the helicopter smashes into the building across the street. Like with the reflections and stuff, the pre-visualization is just nuts. And then we have the Neo Agent Smith fight, and we have some Jeff Darrow here. So like, and you can see a little, you see some of it. You see some of Darrow, but it's not even close to what Scrossi did. And and the final sequence had all the pre-visualizers coming together to really finalize the look and feel of what was happening. And then here we go. Neo jumps into Agent Smith, explodes. I just did a video explaining how this creates Agent Smith as the one and not Nero. What up, robot? We're getting some nice Spain robots coming in here. So now we have some of the design work. So we're skipping, and here we go. We just had to do the end. I've decided to make a few changes. Neo calls the machines, talking smack. He calls the mainframe, and he flies into the camera. Hit Rage Against the Machine. Hit those credits. We're going. Like, let's do this. So, and let's get into. So, the next sequence here, or like the next part of this book, is the Wachowskis had sketches, and this was a little bit of what they handed off to Steven Scrooge. So we kind of see what Wachowski, Steven Scrooge. Okay, what Wachowski, Steven Scrooge. I mean, it's the differences are look. It's like, come on, like it's so much fun to look at these. Zack Snyder is also famous for his storyboards. Here we go. See, it's like like there. It's there though. Like there's definite ability. There's definite ability with these storyboards, and just getting a professional to really make them something else. That is the big. That's all. So here we go. We're back at the Lafayette wet ball scene, and we can see how much content didn't really get used at all. So like the cut sequences are really they're not sequences that weren't cut. They're just shots and like scenarios that led into other shots that were not used. So that's also interesting. Everything here was documented with the purpose to sell this book. It's never been done before. Like it's a little bit too like he goes back and forth on exactly the mechanics of Trinity catching that knife at the end and throwing it into the soldier. And I think like she throws it into the guy's forehead, which is a little bit here, and then they save each other's butts at two separate times in the entire sequence. But it's here we go. Look at that shot right there. But no, nothing comes close to how well this was documented. To consider that there's two other movies that we haven't seen storyboards from is also mind-boggling. I don't know. I think we have to see those. But look, we have some of the expectations, reality, and I saved this one to show everyone. Look at that. I love the blast, the shape of the gun blast here. But here we go. Expectations, reality. Completely iconic. I would wait for this shot when I saw this in theaters. Like I said, I saw this movie 6-7 times. I was relentless. I was obsessed with this, The Fifth Element, Saving Private Ryan. Like those were my three movies growing up at that time. Blade, Blade once Blade was on DVD, that was like my second or third DVD. I watched Blade a million times. I watched Dark City a million times. I watched The Crow a million times. The era of the black trench coat anti-hero wearing cool shades is here. The Matrix didn't get lucky because it was right movie, right time. The Matrix got lucky because it was by design. Everyone, I love you so much. Thanks for hanging out. We're going to do more with this, and be on the lookout. We're going to do an audio drop on YouTube of my thoughts on Matrix